Welcome to the No Budget Indie Filmcast, where we dip into the independent film universe to highlight those little films that you might not have heard about elsewhere. Will you agree with our panel? Or will our panel agree with each other? Tune in to find out. I am Milo Dennison, and with me, as always, is Claire Milan
Hello.
and Carl Holfini.
Hello.
Oh, right. This week, we're watching a short film called The Life of Death. So have you ever thought to yourself, like, hey, what if death were like just walking around town like death normally does, and then steps in front of a car? Does death's life also flash in front of his eyes in the way they say it does with normal people? Well, this film aims to answer that question. And yeah, it's kind of a cute film. It follows Death, who is, just a normal everyday person, other than the fact that they're Death. And doesn't really get a whole lot, which is funny about the film too, because you got Death walking around and you'd think people would be like, what the heck? But they really don't. It's shot throughout New York, which is quite impressive for a 6-minute film. There are a lot of locations in this film, and they still manage to tell a story. Like I've talked about this in the past, where sometimes in shorts they try to include too many locations and it doesn't work. But with this, it does, because of course we're seeing snippets of Death's life, and which need to involve multiple locations and stuff, like Death as a child, Death growing up, Death going to college and getting stoned, Death, meeting the right woman, that kind of stuff. It's shot really nicely. I believe the filmmaker lives in Poland, because when you watch the credits, it actually says New York credits and Polish credits. So I would love to know what their budget was for this, because it can't be cheap unless they did it hardcore guerrilla style in New York, but I doubt it, because you didn't have a lot of people that were coming around like looking on camera like they do whenever you're filming. Like anybody who's ever filmed on the street knows, like you've got people in the background looking to see what's going on and stuff. And in this case, you didn't really have that. So he must have had a decent budget for it. According to the filmmaker himself, this was named one of the best short films of all times by No Film School. So for people who don't know, No Film School is pretty popular. It's a podcast, YouTube channel for independent filmmakers, and they do tutorials and that kind of stuff. And so apparently they really liked it. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I thought I loved the locations. And it's unusual because we do kind of say sometimes on this channel, oh, too many locations, and I'm always telling people to always pick one or two locations. But this worked so well because you had kind of flashbacks, the history into like Death's childhood and the journey to get where he is. And it was a lovely flow to it. I thought it really, really moved itself on. And yeah, I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't call it the best short film of all time, but I really thought it was very, very interesting. Yeah, really enjoyed it. There's a lot of heart for it in it, and I love the bit in the hospital where he's x-raying his hand and there's
Yeah.
no bones. It's just brilliant. There's a bit of humor there as well. But it's quite sad actually as well. But I thought it really worked, and the flow to this and the pacing of it was just very, very good. And yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a nice little film. I think it's a bit overblown. I'd say it was the best, film of all time. Unless I don't know, like unless it was the best low budget film of all time, or no budget film of all time, or something like that. But I mean, it was very good, and uh, there are certain like that scene, for instance, where he's knocked down. That was well done. I'd like to know how you do that on a very low budget. But it's a very simple story, really. There's not much to it,
Yeah.
and I suppose it brings us back to that question about a good story versus a high production value. And in this case, it is quite a high production value that actually brings out the story. But it's just a series of set pieces, really, death related gags
Yeah,
stitched
yeah.
to make a film. So it has a sort of an ad like feeling put to it. But yeah, it was pretty good, very quite funny.
I wonder if they filmed this like really early in the morning. Do you know the way you might get away with it then, film in New York, wouldn't you? Probably. So, rather than the millions of people, because it would cost a fortune if you're kind of having extras and I don't know how filming works in New York. It's probably
Walking off streets and stuff so that you
yeah,
can like get your exterior shots. It must have had
yeah,
some like I really like I mean we're calling it we don't know what the budget was. I
yeah,
think he had to have a decent budget
yeah.
for this.
Because you can tell by the camera and cinematography, like it is a lot of high quality. Like you can tell it is very high quality. So it's yeah, I'd say this could have cost like 20, 30 grand, would you say?
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Like unless he filmed it in an iPhone 15 or something. Do you know what I mean? Or I don't think I don't this is kind of old, an older film, isn't it? I think it's from 2015 or something.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
an
not super
iPhone.
old though. Like
Not super old. Yes, they would have
yeah.
had yeah, yeah. Phone,
Well, I
maybe an
guess
iPhone.
2015 now is like
Yeah.
nearly 10 years.
I mean, like the thing about the film is there's no dialogue in it. Okay, so
Yes.
you could get
Yeah.
away with shooting it guerrilla style on the street, and
Mhm.
this guy walking around in a costume. I didn't notice that nobody's looking at him. But there you go. That's New York for you. So look, maybe they're just following with a camera. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't have like boom mic and
Mhm.
lighting or anything like that. So yeah, I'd say they could have got away with it.
It is a good
Mhm.
point because it is mostly exteriors. And
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, you're not dealing with sound for dialogue.
Which cuts out an awful lot because your sound is a whole huge thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
That
I
can
mean
get
in New
it can get
York,
wrong.
of course, sound would be
Yeah.
awful because of all the
Oh yeah.
background noise that you have there. Huh. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't know what the budget was, but he had to have some, but maybe not as much as I'm thinking or Claire's thinking.
Maybe I
Uh,
overestimated. Maybe
Maybe.
$500 or something.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Feeding the crew.
No, it's definitely got to be in the thousands,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
think it is. Yeah, I'd say like 10,000
I'd say
well,
possibly.
10. Yeah.
and when you talk about a budget, so a lot of times the budget is taken up by paying people.
Yes, yes. And like he would have to go to the locations with the crew and pay them and feed them. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it would have cost a lot.
Multiple locations, probably multiple days.
Yes,
That's
yes. And
if
the
you pay them.
setups. Hmm?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were four different, like if you watch the credits, there were four different people that played Death.
Oh, interesting. Oh, yeah,
Really?
they had to have,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
So
the
you
kids,
had Stunt Death
huge.
and
Yeah,
then like a couple other, and then like I think three actors is
mm,
what it had. Uh,
yeah. And plus it's stunts. So
yeah,
there's
and
a stunt.
stunts. Yeah, so you've got
Yeah, actually,
stunts.
that's a lot of
But
money,
Why
I'd
why
say.
couldn't stunt debt play all the debts? Like,
I don't
why
know.
have a debt and stunt debt? What difference does that make?
Yeah, yeah, the
Oh,
credits were
yeah,
quite
yeah, you're
long.
right.
Mhm.
Maybe Stunt Death wasn't a good death actor. I don't know.
Yeah, wasn't convincing it looking like sad with its
Yeah,
You
laughing
don't
yeah.
have the right
face with the way it
crowd. Sure.
walks. Yeah, yeah. So they had a different stunt death versus regular death. Then a couple
Yeah,
other
yeah.
things in there.
4 debts. I can't believe that. What?
Yeah, yeah.
I
Crazy.
mean, it could have been like different
Yeah.
locations. So maybe rather than moving crew around, they just said, okay, like, I mean, we shot between Poland
Oh,
and New York, as you say. So probably he stayed in Poland and he got
yeah.
people in New York to do some scenes. Maybe he did some scenes in Poland. Maybe he had somebody else. Hey, can you do a shot on the beach? Like, which makes it makes it quite convenient if you don't actually see who the person is.
It's
So that
funny.
probably makes it
Yeah,
work.
and the credits, because I thought the film was like 11 minutes long or something, but it finished or like at 6 minutes something. And then the credits were like, 3 minutes. So
That's what I'm
huge
saying.
people
Like,
involved in
yeah,
this.
there were some
So
long credits there.
really
So
long. So
like,
I thought there'd be kind of I think at the end of the credits or something, but it was like long, long credits. So that's huge, huge people involved
mhm.
in this. Yeah.
Yeah, and so if they're all getting paid, like
Mm,
that's got to be a decent amount of money.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I must say though, I think there was something sort of unsatisfying about the way it ended. I know they had like a nice gag with the kids and stuff, but I don't know, like what was the point? Like,
That was the point, I think, just to
Mhm.
have some
Live.
fun. Like,
Yeah.
all
like
right,
we see lots of that's not a common trope in films, right? Is like the whole somebody dies and we see like some of their history or their past, or the joke is you see your life pass before your line. So I could see somebody just sitting around being like, I wonder what would happen. We'll do the exact same thing. The only difference really is that it's death dying instead of a person. And
Mhm.
that's kind of where the humor comes from.
And they had like the song as well, the lyrics of the song about life or something, isn't it? Living your life or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got to pay for the song and stuff like that.
Okay. So even though I only watched it, so the accident happened at the beginning of the film, did it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe I missed that.
yeah. So I was pulling up the credits there while we were
Yeah.
talking. Mr. Death was played by Kristen Kominski, Andrzej Zamaskar, Eric Protasko. These are all Polish names. Agnieszka Well, it makes sense because they
Normally,
show the life of death, right? So there's young death, so that would be a different death. And then there's like teenage death, so that'd be another death.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
It's
why you got four
yeah.
deaths.
yeah, but I mean, I didn't really recognize the difference between the teenage and the adult. I wonder, I wonder, did he have people coming up to him all the time saying that he looked like death, thinking it
Yeah.
was
Good
funny.
one. It's got a Cahill joke.
Yeah, exactly. I would
Yeah.
never say it's too cheesy.
All right, guys. Well, let's rate it then and see what you think. Put your
Oh,
ratings where your mouth is.
yeah, come on.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'll go first. I mean, to say it was the best film of all time is ridiculous. Um, it was a nice idea, very well realized, and some of the set pieces were done very well. So I'll give it 3.5 stars.
Yeah, I thought it was little vignettes, and I love the fact it showed New York really well, very well filmed. Uh, but it definitely wasn't, for me anyway, the best short film of all time. I think that was a more marketing thing. So for me, it's 3 stars.
Mm. Yeah, it was good. It was shot really well. It was kind of a fun, almost kind of a skit-ish type thing, just a really long skit, 6 minute long skit. I'm with you guys. It's certainly not one of the best short films of all times. And so I'm going to actually ding it for that and go, I was going to go 4, but I'm dinging it half a point for claiming to be one of the best short films of all time. So 3.5 for me. Well, folks, there you have it. It's called The Life of Death. Check it out. See what you think. Do you think it should be on a list of best short films of all time? If not, let us know. Or if so, let us know as well. You can reach us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at No Budget Show, or just leave a comment in the notes below. And with that, we'll say see you next time, and goodbye.
Right.